Let's take some puff pastry and elevate a common appetizer to extreme deliciousness. We're making kicked up, jazzed up pigs in a blanket, Parmesan crusted pigs in a blanket for your next party. You're gonna love that this is an appetizer that you can make ahead and put in your freezer, have it on hand for whenever you need it. And the first thing you want to do is take your frozen puff pastry and thaw it according to the package directions. The first thing we want to do is to prepare our baking sheet with some parchment paper. Now, if you're like me and parchment paper keeps on rolling up and you don't want to fight with it, what I do is take a little bit of vegetable oil spray that onto my pan, and then lay the parchment right on top. It'll lay nice and flat, and you're ready to go. Next, on a very lightly floured work surface, I'm just using my countertop, lay out your puff pastry. Now you want to be careful, and you want to be sure that your puff pastry doesn't break, that it is warm enough but not too warm to be able to work with it. Press it. I'm going to use a rolling pin, and I'm going to roll this out because I want it to be just a little bit bigger. I'm going to make 16 smaller squares out of this one piece of puff pastry. Now, meanwhile, I have my little sausages that are draining in a colander in my sink because I want them to be dry. In the end of the day, I want my blankets for my pigs in a blanket to be nice and crisp and delicious. Using a pastry cutter or a pizza wheel, cut your larger square into 16 smaller squares. And then place it on your prepared pan and keep on making your little pigs and your little blankets until you've done the entire 16. Now, I was inspired to make these when I purchased these little pigs in a blanket at the grocery store for an appetizer one time, and I cooked them up, and they were good, but I thought, I think I can make these better. So here we are. This is my rendition of what I think is better. Now we're going to brush these with egg wash and then dust them with Parmesan cheese. Oh, they're going to be so delicious. You will love them. Your guests will love them. They're easy to make. They don't take very long. Deliciousness. Now, if you're making these ahead of time and you want to put them in your freezer, which you can do for some point in the future, just put them onto your baking sheet like this. You won't be doing the next step with the egg wash and the Parmesan cheese. That's something you'll do just before you put them into the oven to bake. If you're going to bake right away, you'll just proceed with the next step. If you're storing your pigs in a blanket for a longer term, once they've been frozen on the pan for a couple hours, you can transfer them to a freezer bag. They'll hold their shape. They won't stick together. They'll be perfect. And then you can just take out as many as you want when you need them. It's really great. a make-ahead appetizer. To prepare your jazzed up pigs in a blanket, whether you're doing it from frozen or right after you prepare them, you're going to make an egg wash by taking 1 egg and a couple of teaspoons of water and beating it up really well. The oven is preheating at 375 degrees. Brush the egg wash onto each of the pigs in the blanket, being generous. This is going to help to make it brown and crusty and delicious, and will help the cheese to adhere, because we're going to add some Parmesan cheese. It's a good idea to use the parchment lined baking sheet because your cheese is going to really get all over and it'll stick to your pan. Here we go. Now take your grated Parmesan and sprinkle it generously on each one of the cute little pigs in a blanket. These are going into the 375 degree oven for 20 to 25 minutes until they're brown and crusty and delicious. To make your honey Dijon sauce for your pigs, mix some nice Dijon mustard with a couple tablespoons of honey. Mix it well. Taste it. Add honey as you think it's necessary. And you'll have some perfect honey Dijon mustard. You can add a little mayo to this if you want it a little creamier, but I like mine with just the mustard and the honey.